Hello, I'm Dan Rather, and welcome to the CBS Evening News Online Edition. Just ahead, the public may trust the FDA, but how much faith does the FDA's own scientists have in the agency? We'll give you the results of an internal survey. Also, a CBS News investigation found dangerous levels of lead in children's jewelry. But if you think a government recall solved the problem, wait till you see what we uncovered. And how long should workers have to wait for lunch? In one state, it just became a lot longer. We'll report to you why. It's all starting now on the CBS Evening News Online Edition. There is new reason tonight to be concerned about whether the Food and Drug Administration is protecting you and your family from dangerous drugs. Because people in a very good position to know what the FDA is and is not doing say they have very serious doubts about this. CBS News correspondent Cheryl Atkinson has long been investigating drug safety problems and has tonight's report.
It's not the kind of news that instills public confidence. FDA scientists lack faith in their own agency's ability to protect the public. That's according to an internal FDA survey. It was conducted 2 years ago, but only released today by two public interest groups who got it through the Freedom of Information Act. The survey echoes the concerns of Dr. David Graham, the FDA medical officer who recently exposed the agency's safety problems before Congress. 2/3 of the FDA scientists in the survey were not highly confident that the FDA adequately monitors safety of prescription drugs once on the market. 1 in 5 said they'd been pressured to approve a drug despite reservations about its safety or other concerns. That's been the gripe of FDA scientists interviewed by CBS News as far back as 2000. Doctors John Garigian, Robert Misbin, and Leo Letwack said their FDA bosses ignored their concerns about the diabetes drug Resolin, which eventually had to be pulled from the market. Time and time again, FDA scientists have proven correct in flagging dangerous drugs, but were punished for doing so, even threatened with criminal prosecution for allegedly leaking important safety information to the public. It happened to all 3 Resolin doctors.
And in my own agency, I'm treated worse than a criminal.
And it happened this year to doctors Andrew Mossholder and David Graham. The FDA opened a criminal investigation into them for supposedly leaking to the public crucial information on the dangers of antidepressants in children. Several FDA scientists feel so threatened, they've sought protection from a private whistleblower group.
Our group was getting numerous requests because the scientists were all terrified. They were scared for their careers. And that's the point of those witch hunts, to scare people into silence.
The FDA has always denied any retaliation. The agency says it encourages scientific debate and weighs all the evidence before deciding whether a drug should be on the market. Several reviews are now underway to find out if the FDA has spent too much energy on silencing legitimate concerns and not enough on protecting the public. Cheryl Atkinson, CBS News, Washington.
From drug safety, our reporting now turns to toy safety in this peak season for toy purchases. CBS News first exposed a safety risk posed by some toy jewelry, and it led to a massive recall. Unfortunately, as you're about to see and hear, it did not solve the problem. CBS's Mika Brzezinski, who first broke this story, has the follow-up in tonight's Eye on America.
CBS News first alerted the government to the problem last May. Dangerous amounts of lead in vending machine toys, just a quarter and a twist away from little hands. The Consumer Product Safety Commission followed up and issued their biggest recall ever. 150 million pieces of jewelry.
What assurance do people have that they will not purchase toys that have lead in them from these machines?
Well, as soon as we get this recall completed, there shouldn't be any.
There shouldn't be, but there are. And now, 5 months after the recall, many of these hazardous rings, pendants, and bracelets are still being sold, according to a Massachusetts Department of Health investigation. A random sampling found 1 in 4 contained enough lead to poison a child who ingested one. The result can be brain damage or even death. But jewelry from vending machines isn't the only worry. CBS News took its investigation a step further to include jewelry purchased from several national stores and had samples tested. Most of the pieces also contain potentially dangerous levels of lead.
This would be my choice because now we know.
But safety is not on the minds of most 10-year-olds like Shannon and her friends Natalie and Kate. They're just thinking the sparklier, the better.
I like shopping, and I just pick out stuff that I like. I've never really thought if it had lead or not.
What's this piece?
But who really does, asks lead expert Rick Moss, whose own studies on children's jewelry found nearly half contained potentially hazardous amounts of lead. He says simply handling this jewelry can result in lead poisoning.
Lead is not absorbed through the skin, but when a child handles an item like this, and then later direct or indirect hand-to-mouth contact, they will end up ingesting a lot of lead.
Several of the stores where CBS News purchased jewelry indicated that customer safety was a priority. Responses ranged from removing the jewelry in question at Nordstrom to Sears requiring proof from vendors that their products are lead-free. Claire's pointed to a lack of clear federal standards as a problem. The government says it's conducting its own investigation to determine if new regulations are required. Mika Brzezinski, CBS News, New York.
Well, they say there's no free lunch. In California, some workers are afraid there may soon be no lunch at all. The governor is proposing rule changes that would have workers work longer before they're entitled to any lunch break. Business likes that. CBS's Sandra Hughes reports the fear among workers is it's just the beginning.
Arnold Schwarzenegger can get pretty pumped up about lunch.
They go for lunch, they're taxed, and this goes on all day long. Tax, 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 tax.
Even while saving the world in his movie, Schwarzenegger could always pause for a proper meal.
I was in the area and I thought that you made one day of lunch.
But as governor, he vetoed a bill mandating the nutritional labeling of school lunches. What he did this week in California has set stomachs to rumbling in more ways than one. He issued an emergency regulation allowing employers to delay lunch breaks until a worker has been on the job for 6 hours. Is that too long, you think, to wait for your lunch? 6 hours?
Yes. Too long? For 6 hours? It's a bad idea.
Schwarzenegger isn't commenting, but many believe he wants to reposition California as a more business-friendly state.
It doesn't take the lunch period away. It simply widens the time frame where they can take the lunch period.
But opponents charge Schwarzenegger wants to eliminate lunch breaks altogether.
Clearly, this is the first step in taking us to the complete disintegration of labor laws that are currently in the books that protect workers.
But what do the experts say? People who eat lunch?
I cannot imagine doing the types of jobs that I've done in the past without a lunch break.
I would never do that to my employees. A grouchy employee is not good for your customers.
Still, federal law does not mandate lunch breaks. Labor experts say the governor's idea just puts California back on track with most other states. And the new lunch policy is just one of the ideas on the governor's plate right now as he tries to fix California's financial problems.
We have to tighten our belt.
Maybe skipping lunch will help. Sandra Hughes, CBS News, Los Angeles.
More stories are just a click away. But be sure to join me on television for the on-air edition of the CBS Evening News. On Friday's broadcast, sales calls. They're annoying enough at home. What if they start coming to your cell phone? It could happen. Find out why in our Friday Consumer Alert. For CBSNews.com, I'm Dan Rather.